So in your practice and personal life, how do you define and use the archive?
Well, I'm just thinking in terms of personally thinking of sort of systematic archives. So as a filmmaker, you know, in a more conventional way where you write a script, you have an idea, you're already setting the parameters of the material that you are going to gather, and then in the editorial process, in which you're then selecting that stuff, and there's all the stuff that, you know, proverbially ends up on the cutting room floor. And it's interesting about that editorial process. I was thinking when you were talking about librarians, because I mean, film editors are librarians in a sense. They've got a librarian mentality. You have to organise all of this stuff. I'm not very good at the organisational part of things. So it used to be with physical film, these racks of film that would be held up, and you know, of one of 15 takes that you're going to use, or what doesn't get used, and what falls through the net. And
is that how you edit?
And so on.
Is that how you edit? That you organise everything before you start?
In conventional film terms, and if you're working on something that's a substantial production, then there's no alternative.
You do that.
Do I personally? Well, I have projects that are systematic and projects that are unsystematic. This was an unsystematic project originally. I just started intuitively taking shots, or they had a certain kind of function, and then you realise you built an archive. So that was a sort of retrospect. Then you've got the problem of, well, what do you do with it? How do you edit this material together? I mean, I've got literally thousands of images of a square mile of London over 15 years. So, and as a filmmaker, you sit down and you try and edit those sequences, and you think, well, what do you do? Do you do these sort of kind of before and after shots? Do you just concentrate on one framing and so on, or do you assemble sequences over a particular time, and then you return as a series of journeys through the material? So there's 1,000 different ways of organising that material, and in a sense, you've created that problem for yourself. But it also, I think the other thing about archiving as well that really has really struck me while people were talking about archiving the memory is all the archives that you've lost, and particularly as the documentarist in me, there's all the things, why didn't I interview my grandma when she was still alive, and there were all those stories there, why didn't I get her to do that to camera? You know, all these things that you lost, and things like now, I mean, both my parents are dead. I've got one sister who has got premature dementia, so she's lost her memory. So it's sort of like you're very conscious of lost memory and how it falls through. And people's memories are already archived in their head. If you get it down, it's what you didn't get down. It only becomes... so there is all of that, what's lost, the gaps. So I'll leave it there.
You should have been keeping the birthday cards.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. Only as a filmmaker, you should have been accessible, every moment of your life, but you can't live every moment of your life behind a camera.
Also, I find it difficult to separate the use of the archive in practice and personal life. Maybe that's just because it's quite difficult to separate practice and personal life, maybe. And things that were perhaps started out as personal life then suddenly appear again or start becoming important again. Like the first time I held a video camera, really the first time I can remember holding a video camera, was in a very long time ago. I can't remember. It was 1991, and I filmed in Siberia really badly, with this rather shaky hand. I filmed these old believers because I was on this expedition with. It was an academic expedition with the Academy of Sciences, and then I put that tape away in a cupboard, and I didn't look at it for nearly 20. I looked at it maybe once in 20 years. And recently, as I was asked to do something for an exhibition which just launched, well, it wasn't really an exhibition even, it was a screening to launch the book, the Arliss book that I mentioned, or that you mentioned rather, Beata. And I was like, because I talked about this event, or I talked about having done that. So I decided to go back to that film, 20 years old, half my life ago. So that was, in a way, a kind of strange archival experience. And that's enough of that.